Have you always wanted to be Bigfoot but didn't know how to be Bigfoot? Turns out there's a simulator game to let you live out your Sasquatchian fantasies. This is Bigfoot Life, and the demo is available now on Steam. What does Bigfoot's daily life look like? Let's find out. We start out in our Bigfoot cave base with a very awkward camera angle, a shelter that's not big enough for us and has no coverage, and a stash to store our goods and services. After attempting to fix the camera, our first goal is to build another shelter 20 feet away for some reason. So we sprint through the lake to find X marks the spot and begin building a new shelter, after accidentally hitting the F key and finding out that's how we let out our Bigfoot roar.
To the roar.
Trying to get our bearings, we start our search for logs to build the world's most unnecessary shelter. And it turns out that even though we have opposable thumbs, it's hard for us Sasquatch to pick things up. Nah, but dead ass, I struggled this whole game trying to pick things up. You gotta be right on top of it, facing the perfect direction. It's really a pain. We finished our second shelter and we're guided to learning locations. These blue arrows on the map teach us the skills we need to thrive as a Sasquatch. First, we head into the lake and learn how to catch fish and drink water. Us Bigfootiest seem to be protein deficient, and fish is the only protein we can eat. I personally wouldn't want to drink from that lake because it's probably got all my Bigfoot hair in it, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Next, we head into the bushes to pick some berries and mushrooms. These fruits and vegetables are the most common part of Bigfoot's diet and are relatively easy to find. But do you know what else Bigfoot likes to eat? Likes and subscribes. So why don't you like the video and subscribe to the channel so Bigfoot eats good. As we stumble, rumble, and bumble through the forest, we find a trail camera that makes this horrible buzzing sound. But big feet don't like their pictures taken, so we beat it with a stick. After that, we learn about rocks. They're actually really important later, but for now, we just kind of have to pick them up and put them down. Noticing there was a human nearby, I kind of squirreled to chase this lady around for a minute to see what human interaction was like. We screamed at each other for a minute until I found a stick to try to poke her with. We couldn't get her with the stick, but I was able to pick her up without her consent. We put her down because she smelled really bad and she had cooties and she was gross, and she started to run away again, but then I had a brilliant idea of how we could help her. Let's give her a bath. After more jungle frolicking, I found these purple meth crystals that give Bigfoot mystical powers. If you beat them with a stick and collect them, it does absolutely nothing. But the game tells you did a great job, and Bigfoot has a praise kink. Heading back to the lake, I found that the lady was kind of trapped in there and I felt bad. So I chased her down and picked her up again without her consent. I checked the map and saw something interesting, so I headed in that direction, listening to her annoying screams. And yeah, somehow Bigfoot does carry a map. I don't know where he keeps it. I don't know if he's got pockets. I don't know if it's in his prison pocket. I don't know if he wraps it up and ties it in his body hair. Who knows, but he does have a map. We run by this lady's husband and he just runs away, doesn't try to help her or nothing, and arrive at their campsite. This poor woman is soaking wet and definitely not from her husband, so we help her dry off. We take a brewski for the road and head back to our base to drop it in our pile of leaves so we can drink it warm later. Bigfoot was feeling kind of depressed that he didn't have a roof over his shelter, so we headed off into the woods to look for branches to make a roof. You would think that in a forest full of trees, finding branches would be easy, but no, that would make too much sense. We have to find special branches. After finally finding a special branch, you would think we'd be strong enough to rip it off the tree, but nah. We need to hit it with the rock, of course. We did find a Bigfoot frog in the tree though. I wonder what that's for. Again, as you can see, I spent this whole game struggling to pick things up, but we finally pick up the rock, throw it at the tree, pick up the branch, run it back home, and start our quest to find another branch. It took me way too long to find the second branch. As you can see, it's nighttime now. I think 2 in-game hours passed, and then I realized I didn't have a rock to finish breaking the branch. In the dark, it took me a minute to locate the rock that I needed to break the branch, but we got it done, went back to our base, where Bigfoot was happy to sleep with a roof over his hairy head. Day 2 begins, and Bigfoot was excited for new adventures and new things to learn. But first, I took a minute to take in the beauty of what I have to assume is the Pacific Northwest. Because if I'm not mistaken, that's where people usually hallucinate Bigfoot sightings, right? Bigfoot woke up jonesing, so the first thing we did was found some delicious pink meth. But there was an invisible wall keeping me from my fix. And then it started raining, and it never stopped raining the rest of the time I played this game. We had one last tutorial to do, and unfortunately it was stealing from the humans, which I had already done. So I stole their med kit and took it back to live with my warm beer. At some random point, for no rhyme or reason, I unlocked Bigfoot Vision. Basically, Bigfoot Vision puts you in first person mode and highlights useful things in blue. Nothing really crazy, but I guess if you really want to feel like Bigfoot, you could walk around like this all the time. And right here, it told me I could try building more shelters, but it didn't teach me how to build the shelters without finding the X marks the spot. So I struggled for a little while, but couldn't figure it out, so I just kept it moving. By kept it moving, I mean we went hard on the crystal, hoping that if I collected enough crystal, it would trigger something else to accomplish, that there was more to this demo. And that's when I realized there was one last thing I needed to do in this game. There was one last bar I needed to fill up. You see, there was a toilet on the bottom right side of the screen, and if I fill up that toilet, only one thing could happen. So I put a roof on my second useless shelter and went to sleep. We had one mission and one mission only on day 3, and that was to acquire Bigfoot poop. So I ate every single berry out of this berry bush. And every single mushroom out of this mushroom patch. And then I remembered I had those Bigfoot frogs in my inventory. So I ate one, and I think it got me high. As a former addict, I've never taken anything that got me high in the way where everything just turned green. But hey, Bigfoot gets high differently. It's fine. I ate one more mushroom, and finally the toilet was full and Bigfoot had to poop. So I ran to a clearing, squatted down, and let the magic happen. Honestly, it's not that impressive. I was expecting something a lot bigger for Bigfoot, but you know, that's all them mushrooms and berries. There was not enough protein in his diet. Maybe if we get him some more protein, we can get the log we're looking for.